There we go. All right, Zach, give me a 3 claps just so I know where to line this up later. Excellent. There we go. Some very loud thunder claps right there.
Yeah, clear, precise.
I thought maybe you did it to because we're talking about Shazam and the whole Black Adam stuff, lightning strikes. That would have been good. All right, warm up. I got some warm up topics for us, and maybe this is more so geared towards Ed for this one, because Ed, I wanted to follow up. Last week, we were late to the game talking about New York Comic Con. We did our best to try to predict the future. We recorded a week before New York Comic Con, released the episode. The following week or something like that. But we had a little wait. I don't think we had a wager, but I'm gonna call it a wager. Why not? There was 3 main predictions that we had. All right, we said that the Super Mario trailer was going to come out, which wasn't, no surprise there. Everyone knew it was coming out. But we were talking about the fan reaction. I feel like I didn't see much like angry tweets or anything about Super Mario.
Not too. I've seen some stuff where they dub in the Mario video game voice, whoever does that with the trailer. I don't know, and I've seen some people like how they want Chris Pine to sound, and they'll put like a Sopranos clip
Pratt?
or something. I'm sorry, Chris Pratt. It's like this is how people want him to sound.
I thought
I haven't heard anything terribly. negative,
I didn't see the pitchforks, the online, a call to I didn't see a what do you call it? Petitions. Making its way around. So I took it as much better reception than I originally thought it was going to be.
You guys must be on a different sector of Instagram because I see nothing but complaints from.
Wow,
really?
I guess the gaming community. Yeah, like it's crazy. People are just coming at Chris Pratt about his voice and like it's just crazy. Like,
Was that the only thing? Was just that his voice doesn't really?
The main thing was the voice. I think everything else, people are kind of rolling.
You think
like,
they'll? You think it'll be enough bullying to like Sonic where they have to go back and redo the voice?
No, like I don't know. I feel like that's different. Like I think a lot of people were saying like his voice just sounds like Chris Pratt, but I think I disagree. I think he did a little bit of a.
They want to do like stereotypic Italian, like, oh, it's a me. Yay.
I feel like there's no winning.
You can't win either way. You can't win.
You can't win
you can't win.
Yeah. It's like, what do you want him to do?
Everything else for the trailer, I thought looked that opening of
oh, it's so good.
of Jack Black's
yeah.
Man, why am I having a bad
Bowser?
brain for it? Bowser, thank you. That opening shot of Bowser just lighting up that castle, getting the star. That snowball fight scene was hilarious. So I'm one of, and the Mushroom Land too was pretty fucking trippy.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the hallucinogenic mushroom jokes and memes
Oh
start
man,
flying.
there's got to be a tie-in.
Oh, come on.
There's this one meme. Speaking of like the scene with the penguins in the ice temple or whatever. I don't know if you guys play Super Mario 64, but do you remember ever like
Where they drop them off the cliff?
Where they drop them off?
Yeah.
It's like this is like this to the extreme. Like
Yeah.
it's like the funniest meme ever.
All right, so maybe we called it right, Ed. It sounds like there is a pocket of the online gamer fandom that is calling for Super Mario trailer. With some hate. Let's see. Our second prediction was Spawn movie update.
Yes.
Which we wanted a trailer. We didn't get a trailer.
Dude, they're still in the beginning phases.
How long?
They're still
has
writing
it.
it.
Been?
It's
It's been like 7 years.
at least, yeah.
Yeah, feels like that.
But he did come through with some information. Todd was a man of his word. They did hire 3 writers. Scott Silver, who wrote the Joker, did the screenplay for the Joker.
Cool.
Malcolm Spellman, who was one of the creators of Falcon and Winter Soldier, and one of the writers. And then there's a third writer, Matt Mixon, who's a kind of upcoming writer. He was a documentary filmmaker primarily, but he's coming in. Jamie Foxx is still attached.
Oh yeah.
He says Todd is always saying he keeps texting him about when we're starting this up. He's like, "Come on, T, when are we starting?"
That's cool.
And Blumhouse is still attached. So now it's kind of because before it was like, how Todd is. He's a lot of bravado. He's going to write it, direct it, and do all this stuff. And now he's kind of taking that back when these 3 writers are attached. He's like, Todd, heck yeah, I'm going to direct it, but I got to put my CEO Todd hat on. And if I'm going to pitch this to people who give us money to make this movie, I can't I have to have everybody on the same level. I can't have A-list writers and then have a first-time director. I have to be across the board. We want to do it. He kind of wants to do it not a flashy, over-the-top effects thing. He wants to do it more like a character-driven Joker type of movie, which is kind of interesting. And that kind of helps with the budget, and with Blumhouse, which is
cool.
fairly low budget horror movie. It could be interesting. Jamie Foxx wants to do it. That guy's can do anything.
Is Jamie Foxx playing
Al Simmons?
Is he the lead?
Yeah,
or
he's the lead.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Imagine Jamie Foxx not playing the lead.
Yeah, who's
I
gonna
was
play?
just wondering.
Yeah.
I
Chapo?
don't know. I
gonna
thought he was like I think this was like years ago. I had to be in college, so I think this movie started production when I was like in my freshman year of college or something crazy like that. And it's been so long, and so I remember it being sort of like a cop. I think Jamie Foxx was connected to the script, playing like a police officer or something like that.
Oh, I didn't remember that. I always heard
It's
he
probably
was.
just a rumor.
Yeah, I've always heard. I don't think he's just gonna play a random cop.
That'd be funny though.
And there's not too many.
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, it's like you get it's when
gotta
Oscars and
A-list Jamie
Grammys.
Foxx.
I'm just gonna be an extra cop. I'm gonna be Twitch.
I'm just here to collect the check. Well, actually, speaking on the topic of cop and Twitch, I think Jeremy Renner was rumored to play or be involved in the movie, maybe playing Twitch, but his involvement, I guess, is now in the air, up in the air.
Yeah, like I said, that's the big news, and like I said, that was announced probably. He even put I think it was October 4th or 5th, and then he did a bunch. He did the media rounds during New York Comic Con and just kind of solidified all this information. So it's been kind of nebulous for years, like you said, but now it's got a writing team, because I don't think there's even a script for this thing, to be honest with you. I don't think Todd's written anything for this.
I guess he was
Insane.
I guess safe to say he was
So
putting
insane.
the what is it, the cart before the horse.
Oh,
promising a
1000%.
trailer well before they even got
Yeah,
this
he
stuff locked down.
didn't. And to be fair, he didn't promise anything. He didn't promise like a trailer, or he just said something.
Yeah,
So he kept it pretty
vague.
Yeah. So I mean, this is it's a good first step. You know how these things can fall apart any minute, especially comic book properties. There's so many things we hear that are going to get made or been greenlit that never see the light of day. But
Like this is the film equivalent of like Half-Life 3. It's just never gonna happen.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto 6 film
Yeah,
equivalent.
we'll see.
It's never gonna happen.
we'll do the annual Spawn status checkup on IMDb, see what
My
it
kid's
says.
gonna be graduating college. Spawn movie probably comes out. Oh, this is Spawn. We used to, Michael J. White. We used to watch that back when I was like, crazy.
All right, and then the last thing that was on our New York Comic Con prediction bingo card was one that our last week's guest put on our radar. Our guy Corey Torgeson had delivered us the news, or made us aware of the news, that Brian K. Vaughan was attached to Wright. I think Wright. I don't think he was directing, but Wright, a Gundam movie, a live action adaptation of Gundam. And there is yet to be any news on that. The last. I thought maybe I missed something, but the last article I could find was like 2021, kind of reconfirming that he was still involved in some way. So we were I'd say 2 for 3. 2 for 3.
Yeah.
Sounds like the Super Mario trailer did drop. There was a little bit of outrage. Sounds like in certain pockets. Spawn movie update. We technically got an update. Like Ed said, Todd McFarlane said he'd give us something. We were shooting for a trailer. We didn't get that, but it sounds like at least he's getting the building blocks set.
I don't think they even have I'm listening to like an interview with them. I don't think they even have a
logo. You're like, they don't even got the
the
Spawn
logo,
logo.
or I don't know. They might have some concept art, but he can just grab some shit from his, art desk. It's like, some concept art.
He'd be happy with it.
So we don't
Just
even
a-
have like a real look for him either.
When Bonner said they don't even have a logo, I just imagine like Spawn written on a piece of like college ruled paper.
He's like,
Yeah.
This is it, guys.
It's like, guys, we've
in
had
marker.
we've had a logo for 9 years. All right, sounds
gosh.
good. All right, I think we are properly warmed up. We can get this show started. It does sound like there might be a little bit of maybe a lag between us and you, Zach. So just a heads up on that. It might be like a second or two lag. So just be wary of any crosstalk.
Yeah.
Besides that, let's go ahead and bring in the music, the intro music, and get this show started. All right, where is my? How do I always start this? Like I need to read my script for this. No, I know how to start it. All right, here we go. Hey, bro, water. Yo, short box Nation. Welcome back to the podcast. How are we doing today? I hope you're feeling good, feeling great, and I hope you're ready for another great episode, all right? To all of our new friends joining us for the first time, my name is Botter. Welcome to the Short Box Podcast, the comic review and talk show, where we provide you with the best conversations about comics, culture, and more. It is my honor to present you with episode 372. Today, we're gearing up for the upcoming release of the Black Adam movie, starring Dwayne Johnson as the titular character, alongside Pierce Bronson, Aldis Hodge, Sarah Shahai, I think is how you say your name, and Viola Davis, and a few other recognizable names that you might recognize. So we're looking at one of the films. So we decided today to look at one of the film's most important comic book. I'm sorry, got lost. All right. So today we're looking at one of the film's important comic source materials, a popular Black Adam story from 2007 called Black Adam: The Dark Age. Oh, wow, that's really good. I know that's a good, yeah. I'm kind of proud of finding that one. Big shout outs to
that just gave me Love and Thunder flashbacks.
Big shout outs to soundbible.com. Where was that? Okay, so Black Adam: The Dark Age was selected as today's comic review by our Patreon community. Our goal today is to brush up on this villain turned anti-hero, and occasionally sometimes he's a good guy depending on what year it is and who's writing the story. But Black Adam was first introduced in 1945. He was meant to be just an antagonist and darker analog character to Shazam and his Shazam family. Of course, Black Adam has undergone quite a few revisions and retcons as the years and ownership of the character and Shazam in general has changed companies. But we'll get into that in more detail here in a minute. First, let me introduce my panel of friends joining me today. In the studio, sitting next to me is the artist extraordinaire, Edmund Danzart. What's up, Ed?
What's up, man?
How you feeling today?
Good.
Awesome. And calling in as a special guest co-host, hoping to take on the Herculean task of filling in for Ashley today. All right, Ashley she took a PTO day. All right, she had a wonderful baby shower this weekend, and we told her to take the day off. Eddie should have been there. Her
totally forgot.
Her baby shower was star-studded, as you can imagine. Alan Moore was there.
I'm gonna blame that lady who did the RSVPs and send a reminder text.
Look, Ashley, in true Ashley Hollywood fashion. She had Alan Moore was at his baby shower. Jeff Lemire, Jamie Foxx.
She let Jeff Lemire come.
Jamie Foxx was there.
Jamie Foxx was there. She had
That's how I got the spawn. That's how the spawn news. We got it.
Yeah.
Direct from Jamie himself.
She had Circus Olay. She had Circus Olay.
Wow.
And she debuted the baby's name, which is I'm proud to announce is going to be Maximus Prime Michael Bay Hoy.
Wow.
That is the baby's name right there.
Maximus. That is.
Yeah.
That is an awesome
very
name.
Strong baby name. Kid. Shout out to Ashley.
We're still doing the vote on naming the baby.
Yeah, we're gonna have a short box name.
Patreon exclusive.
You know how babies have like two names? It's like
my gosh.
the regular name and here's the family name. We're gonna vote on the family name.
What do you think of this? I didn't pitch this.
His name's gonna be Yo.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's the
I
middle
didn't
name.
pitch this, but what do you think of sponsorship opportunity for naming the baby? Sponsor the show. You get the
An AC company sponsors the show just to name the baby.
like. What was that casino that people were naming their kids? They would give people like a $10,000 if they named their kid like New Egg Casino or Golden Egg Casino or something like that. This is years ago.
That sounds right up Ashley's alley.
Oh yeah.
All right. That is my long-winded way of introducing our special guest co-host today. You've already started hearing his voice, but for some of you, it's a familiar voice, especially you longtime listeners that may remember him from last year's Suicide Squad episode that we did. He runs a great comic book YouTube channel called Comic Ventures, and he's on social media sharing his comic knowledge and adventures at Comic Ventures. Let's give it up for Zach Armour joining the show today. Sweet round of
Thank you,
applause.
guys.
What up, Zach?
Hey, Shortbox Nation. What's up, guys?
What's
Very
new?
honored and excited.
Applause.
Oh, yeah.
Stop.
I'll fade that out.
Listen, this is how I know I made it, being on this podcast.
Twice.
Oh.
Wait, you were on
Twice.
What,
That's how I know I made it.
happened over the first?
As a fan.
Was the first time just tryouts? With
No,
that?
the first time I was just nervous.
Okay.
Also, they kind of were tryouts. I was like, oh, dang.
True. I mean,
I don't know if these guys are going to invite me back.
there's. I mean, you're in that pantheon of returning co-hosts. And I mean, like you said, you're here to cover for Ashley, and in a way, C as well. We haven't had C on the show for a minute, so you've got the task of of covering both. Two
Oh,
people.
wow.
in
No
one.
pressure.
Yeah, no pressure.
No pressure, right? Yes.
Let's get these voices going. Let's go.
Let's do
But
it.
Zach, what's going on with Comic Ventures? What's the latest and greatest?
Man, Comic Ventures is going great. If you guys have not checked out the content, I'm doing a great series on Instagram called This Day and Age with Shortbox, who has been mentioned on the Shortbox podcast. They are the best way to buy online comics. No, I'm not like.
It's not a shameless plug. You're
no,
actually
yeah,
using.
no,
He's
not
wearing the
plugging,
shirt
not
too.
plugging.
He's wearing the
Yeah,
shirt
I'm wearing
too.
a shirt too. I really am repping them today. But I'm doing a great series called This Day and Age with Shortboxed, and it's just going through each age of comics throughout the various whatever month we're in. So we're in October now, so we're going to be talking about October this month, for example, and throughout the Golden, Silver, Bronze, and Modern Age. We're doing this really nice, well-researched series on which comic books you would have picked up if you hopped in a time machine and went into like whatever this second week or third week of October, what kids you picked up. It's really fun. But other than that, I've been doing a lot of reels because Instagram's algorithm is not very kind to
Demands
other
reels.
type of content.
Yeah.
And you can't just put
Demands
TikTok
reels.
stuff over it either. They
You
don't like that
can't.
either.
It's crazy. So listen, if you guys like sneakers and comic books being photographed together, come check it out.
There we go. Check that out. All right. And while we're on introductions, and before we really get started on talking about Black Adam, I want to shout out the winner of our recent giveaway. On the topic of the Short Box comic app, we did a giveaway for a really nice Deadly Class #1 CGC 9.8 graded comic book, and that contest has ended, and we've announced the winner. He's a longtime listener of the show. His name is John Luna. I'm gonna go ahead and give him a round of applause. 'Cause he deserves it.
Nice.
As well as everyone else that entered as well. There's a lot of people that entered. I got a lot of angry DMs about people not winning, which was really funny. But it was all, all in jest and all of love. So yeah, he won the Deadly Class #1. And he kind of claimed the prize as someone would claim, like, the lotto. He came like with a mask on.
Like the ghost face
Yeah,
mask,
hid his
so
identity
his
and
relatives
all that,
couldn't
yeah.
find him.
Like incognito?
Yeah.
You saw the guy that won the lottery? He came up with the ghost face mask at the press conference, so his relatives went hunt him down.
That's smart.
That's crazy.
That's how John Luna's gonna claim his prize. He's like, yo, look, I know Ashley is looking for this. I'm gonna go and witness protection after this. So shout outs to John Luna. Shout outs to everyone that entered in the contest, and most importantly, shout outs to the Short Box comic app for being partners on that. I really appreciate that. Big shout outs to Crow and the entire Short Box team. And this is definitely not last and definitely not least. This next piece of house cleaning is for all of our Short Box homies in the Jax and Northeast Florida area. We will be at the Jax Duval Comic and Zine Fest on Saturday, October 22nd. It's taking place at the main Jax Public Library downtown. There will be artists from all over Florida at this event. There will be workshops, printing, and plenty of opportunities to buy and shop for zine and comics. It's a free event. Me and Ed will be there, spreading the good word of the Short Box. And I'll be hosting a panel with the guest of honor, the renowned comic book artist, zine lover, illustrator, and designer Jim Rugg, who has been a repeat guest of this show. But this is the first time I'll be interviewing him in person at a comic event dedicated to independent print and publishing. And it's here in Jax. It's great to, be able to host someone that we've looked up to, in our hometown. So I couldn't think of a better place to host them. So if you're someone that dabbles in or is interested in making your own zines and mini comics, or you just want to meet awesome independent comic creators, this event is for you, and I hope you show up, right? Once again, it's taking place at the main Jacksonville Public Library downtown Saturday, October 22nd, 12 to 5 p.m. So, it respects your time. It's not even an all-day thing. Short and sweet and very impactful, all right? Check the link in the bio for more details, and me and Ed hope to see you there. And one more thing, all right? If you're watching this podcast on YouTube, you may notice the shirt I have on today is very uncharacteristic of me because it's merch from another podcast. And Ed, you know how I feel about plugging other comic podcasts on here, right? That's a capital sin. Unless they are the Oblivion Bar podcast, all right? The hosts, Chris Hacker and Aaron Knowles, are our homies. They produce a very solid show. Chris has been on the Short Box himself, and they sent me a really nice care package. So I wanted to show some love to the Oblivion Bar podcast and Chris and Aaron, all right? And that is also my way of encouraging free merch to be sent to the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Right? To the short box, right? You got some free stuff you want us to wear or talk about. Man, me and Ed will take your money. I mean, your products.
Yeah.
And fairly review and rock them as well, all right?
Especially if you're a guest on the show, like a guest co-host. Some merch coming our way. Not saying any names, not mentioning any names, but if you've been on the show as a guest,
Zach, you've got all that wonderful product behind you. What did you want that to send?
This isn't mine. This is borrowed.
Really? Because it looks very familiar to some of the videos we've done.
it's a green screen. This isn't real.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is not real.
All right. With the house all clean and all the shameless plugs out the way, let's start on today's main topic, which is Black Adam's first ever solo miniseries, The Dark Age. I just want to cuddle up to some warm hot chocolate and a blanket. That's what I want. All right, let's get. I want to hear some music. Let's get some music going for a little sound bed. And for those of you unfamiliar, here's a handy recap of what takes place in this 2007 6-issue miniseries by writer Peter J. Tomasi and artist Doug Mahnke. Teth Adam, a.k.a. Black Adam, is on the run as a war criminal from not only Earth's mightiest heroes, the Justice League, but also from the United Nations, after being responsible for the deaths of thousands of Bialians. Bialians?
I think you're right.
Thousands of Bialians, who are residents of a fictional Middle Eastern country in the DC universe. You know, DC loves their fictional, Middle Eastern countries. But Black Adam has also lost his powers and ability to transform into Black Adam. So he's, in this story arc, he's just kind of Teth Adam the whole time. And that's in part thanks to a curse put on him by his longtime arch rival, Shazam. He's also on a quest to find both the magical word that will restore him as Black Adam, and he's also in search of a way to return the one thing that has always kept his heart from turning completely black with rage. It's his deceased wife, Isis, who was killed in events that take place prior to the story. The whole series, the whole Dark Ages series, mainly revolves around Adam setting out on this globe-hopping adventure to hunt down the pieces of his dead wife's amulet in hopes of using its magic power to restore her to life, all the while avoiding those that would like to bring him to justice or seek retribution in more lethal ways for his heinous war crimes. This comic series, The Dark Age, that we're about to talk about, is available to purchase for $16 on Amazon in a nice collected edition called Black Adam: The Dark Age. Or you can read it like I did and check it out on the DC Universe app with a paid subscription. That out the way. All right, and that's everything you kind of need to know for Dark Age. It would be helpful if you read some of the prior stories that lead up to this, like World War III and then some of the DC 52 stuff from around this time. But we'll do our best to make sure that we keep you in the know. Let's see. Ed, how about you go and kick us off, man? What are some of the themes and topics that are introduced or explored in this story?
Oh man, so I was reading this, no idea, never read it before, first time. So basically, this is Black Adam's 5 stages of grief. That's how I looked at this story. So we have basically denial. He's dragging them bones around, trying to get her back to life, to the Lazarus pit, and basically not accepting the death. I know it's comics, no one really dies, but he can't accept that Isis is gone. So he's carrying her skeleton around, trying to find different ways to resurrect her and bring her back. And then so we go to bargaining. Now he's making a deal with this shifty ass Felix Faust to basically bring her back, sending him on this fetch quest and then basically kind of finding a workaround to reinstate his powers as Black Adam. Anger, we know this is an angry dude. This dude's always angry. He's killing people. There's intestines coming out. This is a very more violent than I thought it would be comic book.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, and then towards the end, we get kind of that great shot of, like once, Faust kind of tricks him and then puts up the dollar store skeleton that dissolves and then hides the real skeleton out the back and does his best ventriloquist routine to kind of freak him out. He goes, basically there's that depression and then acceptance where he's finally like, she's gone. And then he's at his palace and he's just, by that portrait, which is a great panel. Yeah. So like I said, this is kind of what I read. I really liked it. I wasn't sure how I would like it, like the series. But the more I read, the more, it's like, I wasn't kind of it took maybe half the first issue, and then I was on board. But it's pretty much how I looked at this. It's just kind of we get a pretty decent character study, and like I said, his contradictory moral code. We'll go into that. You know, like I said, his very almost black and white kind of moral code he has, even though he kind of says that he doesn't. But there's a lot of things in here which is interesting, you know, character stuff, you know, kind of understanding Black Adam and making him a really interesting character. I kind of see him as like almost like a Dr. Doom type character, but not quite that chaotic evil, you know, but there's like a nobility, and he has a code. You know, there's a code, there's a nobility there. There's times where he does good, and there's times that, like I said, we can get into it as we talk about the story more, but that's kind of how I looked at these 6 issues.
Excellent. That's a great intro. And I if I had to tell you what Black Adam's code is, it's probably bite me and I will fucking destroy your entire country.
It's like fuck around and find out.
You know what? There we go.
That's
Way better. Mode, like. There we go. Ed, you won that. Fuck around and find out. I'll add to some of the themes. I got here war crimes being an obvious one, genocide, because you know that's kind of the catalyst of why he's in this predicament. Love, sacrifice. I got ice cream as well. That was a surprising.
That one I didn't understand when that first happened until I figured out why.
Got it. Yeah.
He was like, oh, okay, I get it. He changed the word. Okay.
Yep. Diplomatic immunity. I've got travel agent. I mean, he's got a killer travel agent.
Dude, his Delta miles are crazy. Because he's not flying around as Black Adam this whole time.
Yeah. This was my first time reading this as well, and this book comes from, you know, was released in 2007 to 2008. I went into it like kind of, I guess I had pretty good expectations. I knew I was in safe hands, is what I'll say, because it's written by Peter J. Tomasi, who I highly respect. I'm a big fan of his work, and it's art by Doug Mahnke, so you can't really go wrong with that combo. And then, Ed, you mentioned something about the level of brutality and how violent it was, and that being a surprise to you. I guess I wasn't that surprised because of the time frame this book came out in, and I think I've gone on record saying during this time period for DC Comics, I felt like everything was very violent. Like they were not afraid to lean into just telling very violent stories and letting their characters get their hands a little dirty. And that's where, Zach, I'd like you to take it from here. And maybe giving us, like, you know, you brought up your This Day and Age segment that you're doing on your channel. Would you mind telling us about some of the other comics that were out around this time, maybe specifically like DC or just in general?
In general, yeah. I mean, there's some great stuff happening, especially in DC Comics right now. It's right 2006, 2008. This takes place right after, right on the foot of DC's 52 event, which really put a lot of the more unknown characters into the spotlight a little bit more. While this is going on, also Marvel's going really cosmic with Annihilation. Fun fact. So a lot of lesser known characters throughout. This is like growing up. This is one of my favorite era of comics because this is when I fell in love with like Black Adam and the Guardians and like Silver Surfer and all the cosmic, like, you know, I was more of a Marvel kid. I was a Marvelite growing up, but this is really, Black Adam was a really huge figure right now at the foot end of DC's 52 event. Also, the Justice Society is making a really big resurgence with their own ongoing series at this time. So it kind of makes sense with Black Adam's kind of ties, especially to Atom Smasher, and you guys are obviously going to see in the movie. They'll probably have some sort of rapport, hopefully, because they really do in the comics.
Yeah,
Atom Smasher's like his guy. Like
that's one of my favorite scenes in the comic when they're at the diner.
Yeah.
Is this going to go down? Are we going to do this? I'll kill all these people. I'll kill all these people. You want that? You're going to grow 20 feet tall? I'll kill everybody in this diner. Is this what's going down? Yeah. The one thing that
they keep it real.
The one thing I wish that he did, and I'm like I said, I'm not sure. It could just be a character thing. Is when he asked why he killed all those people, and Black Adam always has like a justified reason why he kills. At least in this incarnation of in Black Adam, I think that's what we're going to see in the movie, where he kills, but it's because a line is crossed, or he was basically killed those people hunting for the last horseman, Death, right?
That killed his wife.
That killed his wife. So basically, I'm not sure why he didn't, because they became buddies. They kind of have that parallel kind of vigilante bros, you know. They kind of have like parallel, you know, thoughts on being a hero, and like that's kind of what gives them their bond. And I'm just curious why he didn't. It's like, look, dude, this guy killed my wife. Unfortunately, this is, collateral damage.
I don't know if they talk about the casualty number. I think it was
millions,
either
right?
No, I don't think so, right?
But I think they imply that if it's not in the high 100,000s, it's like in the millions.
Yeah.
I think whether they were collateral damage is a very
This is a super villain.
That's a hell
This
of a
is a
word
super
for
villain.
2
Soft
million.
word for that.
This is.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm talking in comic reality and comic numbers, and for a top tier superhero, a top Superman Omega level, powered person, that is collateral damage. Unfortunately, that is collateral damage. It's I'm not trying to use that term into the real world. I'm talking about in comics world.
Okay.
With
That's
Black
fair enough.
Adam.
One of
For this fictional country,
For this,
you're right.
yeah, for this country that's Lebanon, but maybe you're not. I don't know. But this is in his eyes. This is worth getting to his goal. This is unfortunately the path I have to take.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that this, because this kind of takes place after so many kind of very big moments for the character. This story, I felt, didn't quite do the best job kind of giving you the recap on that stuff.
Yeah.
Like they kind of they keep implying some of these events, and I had to go to like Wikipedia to get the full digest of what went on. Like, how did his wife die?
Me too. Yeah.
Why did he destroy that country? How many people? I don't think this series does the best job of getting you spun up. But and maybe Zach will address this. But to me, this was during a period where it was like either you were following along with all the stuff that was going on,
It's true.
or you just missed out.
Yeah, there's a lot of this is one of 17 million extinction level storylines that was happening in 2007. Like World War Hulk, you can literally go to the comic shop and World War Hulk is like right next to this book. Like there's just too crazy, and so if you're not picking up, obviously, you're kind of lost. But I do think that this is a very necessary Black Adam story. So I don't think it's unreadable, but I agree. Like I had to go back and realize that Shazam used his admin privileges to
you get
like I was like, why does he keep repeating words? I had to go back.
You get the gist of it, but the details, if you're wanting more details and why, I think the premise is there. It's like, okay, I need to fetch all these fragments. It's like a video game. It's fetch quest, get all these people to resurrect my wife. That part is clear. It's just, why didn't he lose his? How did he lose his powers? What did he do to this country? What's he talking about? Why is this guy trapped in the tower? It's like there's those few lingering things, but the overall mission is pretty clear.
Yeah, and I'll say I think this was during a time where, and I bring up the whole I think to further my point about this doesn't. I'm sorry. I think to bring up my point about this isn't the most, I think, new reader friendly is that, no, what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is I felt like that whole getting you spun up could have easily been solved by one of my favorite things in comics, which I think they do a good job of doing now, but maybe not so then. Maybe it was an afterthought, but just that 1-page recap, right? Like the very opener
inside cover
where you get
with all the people involved.
Right? I think
I
just
was with you before you
I noticed
said it.
that wasn't here in these comics, and I can't recall if it was just because of this or that was kind of like the MO of maybe DC at the time, which was, look, either you're reading these or you're not
on board or not.
I think just a 1-page, even just 2 paragraphs, this series follows blah blah blah, would have helped. But regardless, Zach, so you said that this was around the time that JSA was getting their relaunch as well?
Yes. Yeah, they just, you're really testing my memory, but I believe in 2007, the Justice Society just relaunched with a new title.
Okay.
Around this, it kind of overlapped with this.
Got
it's pretty ironic since Black Adam has really close ties with JSA. And,
Big time, yeah.
And so I thought that was really cool, a really cool fact.
He was almost a member, he was in probationary membership.
But in events like this, are like, what are we doing? This guy can't obviously be part
He's
of the
strong
team.
though,
Be
dude.
trusted.
He's fucking strong.
True,
We need a
that's
strong
it.
guy.
That's
We
it.
need a strong guy.
Yeah.
He may kill some people.
Collateral damage. It's comic books.
By the way, it seems like in the movie they don't. I at least from the trailers, I've kind of told I've got the idea in the movie that they don't know each other.
Yeah.
Amanda Waller's like sending the JSA, which I thought was kind of weird.
Yeah, she's so connected. It's like, who isn't under her control? She got the JSA.
She got the JSA, Suicide Squad.
How are you gonna get?
Justice
You're
League,
not gonna
like,
get.
what's going
You're
on?
not gonna implant that thing in the Black Adam, the little bomb in your head. You're out of your mind.
The trailer leads you to, and I think even the synopsis that I've read about the movie is that this is like a fresh start. Like they're bringing him into the modern world, into like this world of superheroes, and he's finding his way. Like even like Isis is in the movie. She is being played by.
But she doesn't have her powers.
Exactly.
Yet.
She's being played by Sarah Shahai as Isis. She's a university professor in the movie, as well as a resistance fighter in Kahndaq.
Because she gets part, and I think why, and that would have been nice information to have, because she is part of that Shazam family, where her powers come from the wizard Shazam indirectly. Yeah. So that's how he's able to transform using her bones. I don't know. It's comics, guys.
Yeah.
It's magic.
Charger. I gotta get the charger real quick.
Yeah.
Where was I at? Okay. So Zach, you had mentioned that around this time, or you had fallen. It sounds like you were, I guess, maybe more aware about Black Adam than maybe between me and Ed. Like, what was your first conscious exposure to Black Adam? Or what won you over from?
Man, that is a tough question. My first like story starring Black Adam that I really liked was I read like, what was it called, Dark Reign, I think it was. And actually the movie has a lot of Dark Reign in it, and I have to reread it because I reread this and it just triggered me into this Black Adam Hawkman just marathon. But no, Reign of Death. Hold on, I actually put it in my notes here. Reign of Death. Yeah, so this is a story.
Yeah, it's a metal.
Yeah, it's really sick. Let me see if I can. Yeah, so I was like, hold on. Man, how old was I? Let's see. Maybe it's not called that.
I think it's Black Rain.
Is it Black?
Yeah, I think
Man, I don't know. It was rain. Something was raining. I just remember that was my first like true exposure. At this time, like this is 2006, 2007. I'm like, I'm reading Spider-Man and Daredevil. I'm not reading like Black Adam flying through people and obliterating their intestines. So, so by the way, there is a panel of him flying literally with his arms out and he just
cutting people in half.
Like literally, I was not reading that. But also like surprisingly, I believe, wasn't he in Justice with like that Alex Ross artwork and cover work? I think he's like heavily featured in that.
Yeah.
I remember that. And then I also, anything with like Alex Ross, like Shazam, Black Adam, that was a big exposure for me because I loved Alex Ross growing up. And also there's this video game when I was in high school and it was like DC Universe Online. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it.
Yeah.
Jim
It
was
just,
attached to
I don't
that.
know. Yeah. So like, there's like this opening cinematic, and at this point, like I'd not been reading Black Adam, but that also just sparked up another like just resurgence of Black Adam love, just like seeing the appreciation of the character. But all in all, like I'm not, I didn't grow up like a big DC guy, so like I have these little spots of love for that character growing up, but he's going back to him, he's definitely dope, and he's got like this, like he said, he's got this Victor Von Doom energy, which I'm a big Doom fan. He's got his own nation. He rules kind of with the Iron Fist, and it's just really cool to explore this guy.
I've always
uncover him.
I've always thought he just looked cool too. Like his suit, the black with the gold lightning. Bulky motherfucker. Depending on what version you see too, like he's sometimes got like the pointy ears too. Like he's an elf that just won't take no shit.
There's like a Namor Doctor Doom
for
vibe
sure
to him.
For sure, yeah, that regal sense of like, diplomatic immunity
Pointy
type.
ears.
Yeah, type vibe. Yeah, he's always been a character for me that's always been in the background. Like I think of like Crisis on Infinite Earths. Yeah. He was kind of like a background villain. And then whenever I really started diving into DC Comics, specifically like Jeff Johns stuff, right? Like Jeff Johns really cut his teeth on that JSA series.
I think that's like pretty much his origin's going to be based on that.
Yeah,
I read the
That's interesting.
The old, because I like Shazam. I always thought Shazam was a cool character, so I read that old comic with Shazam in it, and it's like he's very one note, which comics at the time, and he basically they tricked him to saying his name, And then when he
Yeah.
became back, he's like 5,000 years old, so he just turned into dust. He's like- and then,
I was the-
but like Forever Evil is probably my first series that he was like, you know, a big part in the New 52
yeah.
when he's like
Okay.
Ultraman like breaks his jaw, he just grabs his face and just crushes his jaw.
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
it's so
You
brutal.
guys, I'm so excited because I'm like, this is all coming back to me. I forgot about the New 52 stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's
That's
what
when
I,
he like kills his nephew and stuff, right?
Well, that yeah,
Like,
he
it's his
basically
origins like crazy.
They were enslaved, and then
Yeah.
basically the Shazam, like I said, there was his uncle and his nephew. So his new origin, which is makes him tough to empathize with, because basically his nephew asked to share the powers with him. And then basically, you know, Black Adam, he wants to revenge. We're gonna, you know, murk these guys. And then the nephew's like, no, we can't do this. We can save them without too much bloodshed has gone already. And then basically he held him, and then when they were about to do the word, he basically like breaks his neck and takes all the power for himself. And it's like, so that's another thing where it's like he's justified in his mind that this is what it takes to get my revenge. So his motives are always, at least at the beginning, was like, this guy's, you know, always out for revenge. Everyone's always wronged him. He's justified by using his powers to kill people. So it's hard to. That's a pretty tough.
it's like on one hand you're like, yeah, this is
because he wasn't a good guy that got corrupted by the power. He was already wanting vengeance from the start. You know,
he was trying to. He was bloodthirsty against the oppressive system, and ends up becoming a one-man oppressive system in a way.
Yeah, arguably, yeah. I think it's kind of weird. Like outside of comics, like even in the film industry and stuff, how they got Dwayne Johnson. Like I feel like they're not gonna have him have this type of origin where he kills his like nephew or something, and then make him the center.
I saw a scene with him in Hawkman. It was like a quick scene. He's like, they're arguing the whole, you know, ethics of being a hero. He's like, you know, didn't basically the whole thing of killing. He's like, heroes don't kill, and he's like, I kill, I do. So, but yeah, I think they'll soften that origin where he's the one that was chosen. You know,
have to.
But yeah, they're not gonna. They don't have to go note for note, but they will soften it because he's going to be, you know, and it's like that's the most perfect casting I think I've ever seen in a superhero movie. I
wasn't mad at it.
So they have to have him where he's a good guy with the edge, almost like a superpowered kind of Punisher type character, where you know it's where there's some moral ambiguity, but he's in his mind at least he's doing the right thing.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm looking at the plot for the movie, and it looks like they're going to lean into the Egyptian origin that we know. You know, he's bestowed with the almighty powers of the Egyptian gods, and then he gets imprisoned. I'm sure it'll be a case of like he himself is probably like an Egyptian slave or some, you know, oppressed in some form of fashion. Gets his
family
powers
gets killed.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Family gets killed. He uses the powers overkill.
Kratos
right?
action.
Yeah,
Kratos.
exactly. And then he gets awakened in modern times, probably looking for the same revenge.
Well, it's a thing where I know basically he's been imprisoned. When I think he has before. There's been so many different kind of origins where he's either sent to the other side of the galaxy and it took him thousands of years to get back to Earth, or they've imprisoned him and then someone opened up his you know tomb or whatever, and then now he's back.
Yeah. What's been Zach, you had brought up, you know, The Rock and maybe how this what the tone of this movie is. Everything I've read from about this movie and interviews with Dwayne Johnson, it sounds like he kind of was pushing for this to be a little more darker and serious. It sounded like he was in talks to get this movie going like as early as 2007. I think some of the early plans was like a joint movie between Shazam and Black Adam, telling the origin of both of them. That didn't work out, and then they were just going to do a Black Adam movie. Yeah. But the script was like way too. It was just like really lighthearted, kind of funny. Even I forgot what who the director was, but I think it was like a comedy director. And Dwayne was like, no. Like, if we're gonna do this, we've got to pay. Like, we got to be respectful of the source material. We got to portray Black Adam as he is in the comics.
With Warner Brothers just constant shuffling and
that
like
too.
bad.
I think that's why it just took so long to finally land.
Like their whole thing kind of collapsing. Their whole kind of built-in universe.
Yeah.
I heard an interview with him. Not heard. I guess I read an interview with him like yesterday or this morning, where he said the old Warner Brothers, I guess, crew is out, and with the new team, they are kind of building on what that blueprint was in the beginning, and not just shuffling all over the place. I think with this casting, I was a little, when it first got announced, I was a little iffy because to me, he's always like The Rock. Like he's Dwayne Johnson. I'm like, I can't really see, or he's Hobbs. Like, I don't know. So, but then, once I realized what the plan was, and once I saw that first trailer, I saw kind of like they're bringing a little bit of darkness to it, and he's taking the character seriously. He seems like his heart's really in it, and they need that star power.
Exactly. I love the
Makes
promo.
sense.
I love the promo and the confidence he has.
He finally started working out to get big. He's like, come on, Rock, get in shape.
How do you get bigger?
He's bigger than he's ever been.
Yeah.
And
It's crazy.
He's like pushing 50. He's on, I don't know what chemicals he's on, but I need those.
I need just give me a fraction of it.
And I need to work out 5 hours a day.
And I love the wrestling mentality and promo that he's bringing to not just this movie, but I think just like the DC to DC, like in general, to Warner Brothers, like this like new sense of confidence. I think he's gone on record saying like, this is going to kind of change the hierarchy of the DC universe. He's talking shit about being stronger than Superman, or wanting to see Black Adam, Superman eventually go at it in the movies. But Rock has been, I think it's the best thing to happen to this character and this property. And hopefully the movie, I never want to see any movie bomb, because like, why would I ever want to go watch a bad movie, right? But I think this could be that injection, that new blood that like the DC universe, cinematic universe needs.
And he's going to do the rounds. He's probably going to go to places dressed up as Black Adam, like John Cena did as Peacemaker.
He already, like Eddie, you said, to me, visually, it is such a one-for-one casting. He doesn't even have to dress up, right? Like, he just got to do the eyebrow thing.
He just puts on the outfit. It's like,
maybe,
I don't need fake abs or muscles. I'm good.
Yeah. And, perform genocide here or there, and I'm sold. But it does sound...
people like... Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I can see people attaching to him like Loki. I think like kind of like how Tom Hiddleston with Loki, and he kind of did that round. I can kind of see people, attaching him.
Where
like
people
that.
are like, we love you for your edginess and you being kind of like this asshole, but at the same time, we see the heart in you and we're rooting for you.
Definitely see that.
Yeah, for sure. And it sounds like that was a thing that was something that that was something that Dwayne Johnson gravitated towards when it comes to the character, is that he is morally kind of gray. I've got this quote here that I'd like to read, and it kind of goes hand in hand, Ed, with what you were saying about like, you kind of, even though we're reading this series in particular, is like, he's done some really fucked up shit, to say the very least. There is one small layer of like, but it was in response to this, right? It wasn't just, he's going to kill a bunch of people. But the quote here from Dwayne Johnson about Black Adam and his kind of like understanding is, the connection to Black Adam is that while you may not agree and you may interpret him as a supervillain, anti-hero, protector, even a superhero, you may not agree with his philosophy, but everyone understands. So I think they're really going to kind of, in this movie, I'd imagine, lean into like, let's give him a tragic upbringing, a tragic story. His family's probably going to get killed for sure. That way we build like that... just that emotional, get you emotionally invested, and then we're going to show him just doing some terrible stuff, probably just some terrible people. So let's get back to the comic book real quick. Ed, I wanted to know if you don't mind. I wanted to ask if you don't mind talking about the creative team. Like I said, we've got Peter J. Tomasi writing, Doug Mahnke doing the artwork. Tell us a little bit. about
I guess I'll start with Peter Tomasi. He's a DC dude. That guy has been 14 years as an editor, 15 years as a writer. So he's close to, if not over, 30 years at DC. And he's written everything. Like I said, he's written stuff, a ton of Green Lantern stuff. He did the screenplay for the Death of Superman animation.
Oh, wow.
But like I said, he's like from 2007 till now, he kind of transitioned from editor to writer. So like I said, he started in 93. So like I said, that guy's been there forever, so he's one of the top guys. He's one of the consistent, people. He's done like the Super Sons is probably the recent stuff. Batman Arkham Knight. He's done a run on Detective Comics, Blackest Night, Brightest Day. like I said, all kinds of Green Lantern stuff.
There
Nightwing.
probably isn't a character in DC that he hasn't touched or written.
It's almost a perfect fit with Doug Mahnke because he's been around since '88, but he, like I said, he's been primarily, DC guy, like 95% of his career. But he did, and he's kind of in that, like, put him in like, Derek Robertson, Steve Dillon kind of mold where it's detailed, nothing too spectacular, but like super solid, super detailed. His strength, he makes some great faces.
Man,
like those Felix Faust's crazy expression with his teeth and his bug eyes. Man,
well said.
He's crazy,
and he's so versatile. He's a guy I can see doing superhero stuff. He can draw these jacked up dudes, but man, I want to see this guy do some horror stuff. He's doing Green Hell, total horror book, Swamp Thing Green Hell right now. Totally different style, totally crazy. I love this guy's kind of, gritty style. A little bit of Brian Boland in there with the detail.
Well said, man.
But I liked his stuff. He was one of the artists on the Mask, Dark Horse era Mask, which he can do that cartoony fun stuff, over the top stuff. He can do the superhero stuff. He can do horror. And even in this is right on the line of horror comic with some of the body horror stuff that like Adam does to people.
That is
like, and like I said, it's he's awesome. Like, I'll pick up everything he'll draw just to see it. Like, when I first saw this, like, oh, at least I like the art. Doug Mahnke's drawing this. Okay,
for sure.
So, and then like one of my favorite things is his Grant Morrison Frankenstein Agents of Shade, Seven Soldiers, I think, run. That was like when it kind of put the name to the art, because it's like, I've seen this guy. And one more, sorry. One of my favorite titles is a title called Major Bummer he did in the 90s. So it's kind of the trope of where an alien, they pick the best person on Earth to represent, almost like Green Lantern, your champion, to be the Earth's champion. And it's in this box, but they send it to this slacker guy. So they sent it to the wrong person. So it's this slacker loser guy who wakes up and he's like super jacked and big. And he works at like this, like TV. This is how old the comic is. This TV repair place. And he's fixing a TV and he looks down and it's like a crazy gun. It's so funny. And it has great expressions, but that's probably the first time I've seen his work. That's like a late 90s DC Vertigo. I don't know if it's Vertigo or not, but Major Bummer, if you want to check that out. That's hilarious stuff.
Yeah. Well said.
Comedy and horror, and superheroes. He can do everything.
I think you captured I think the words you used for Doug Mahnke were excellent, especially highlighting his knack for drawing excellent expressions. And there's something about the way he delivers a lot of facial expressions just with the way he draws the eyes. Like, they're always very I think a bug-eyed, it kind of applies to a lot of the art in this one too, because there's a few scenes where like he's got some tight shots on Black Adam, just like his face and the eyes are so like prominent. Like,
especially dealing with Faust, you can tell he wants to kill this guy. Man, I'm gonna beat your ass once this is done.
But yeah, his Mahnke's line art is really tight. Like you said, it's real detailed. He has a really he's got a great group shot of the Justice League. I think at some point in this,
like near the end.
Yeah, near the end, and he's able to make each character very unique. Like, he really like emphasizes like their unique silhouettes. And like some of them don't even speak right, but he's like, just the way he like his composition for like Batman and Aquaman, he kind of gets the point across of who they are.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes, is the fight with Hawkman.
Oh man,
that's such a great fight scene.
Yeah, I think that was issue 3. Yeah, the cover kind of telegraphs that fight's going to go down, and I'm hoping that the movie, because it looks like we're probably going to see Black Adam and Hawkman go at it.
I think there's a little clip of him hitting him into a building, like
cool,
knocking him into a building.
All right,
but
awesome.
One of the cool like moral things about this fight is he doesn't start this fight. Black Adam, like, he's basically, give me that shard and I'm good. And Hawkman is not letting him go, and so that's one of the things too. It's like he could just have destroyed this guy, honestly. Like, the power level, the power differences between the two. It'll be a fight, but he can handle this guy pretty easy. So beats him up the first time, says, all right, we cool now? Stay down. I'm gonna fly away. I need to find this other fragment or whatever I need to do. And then basically he keeps fighting him, and he like rips his wing off and just drops him on but he doesn't kill him. He does not kill him when he could have killed him.
True.
He could have ripped his head off instead of his wings off.
You know why? Because he knows he knows a Hawkman has a very large voting power. Yeah, he's got a very large voting, say in him
fighting
coming
him
back
for centuries
to the JSA. But yeah, to your point, he does hold back a lot.
That
in the
and
series.
when the natives, where he goes to the tribe and then finds on a totem, he could have killed all those people. He ran away and then flew off as Black Adam. So there's like a moral thing there where it's like he could have killed a lot more. He does a lot of killing, guys. Don't worry, he kills a lot of folks in this. But there's some restraint. And then one of the scenes I liked with him is when he goes to I guess they're veterinarians to get the bullets taken out.
Yeah,
and it's a very little thing, but it really caught me. Is like, finish with the dog first, and then I'll need your help. It's like,
well, yeah,
that's pretty.
Caught that too.
There's
And then-
very small and almost like I guess you got to catch it. Very small glimpses of his heroism and like his moral code. Showing the good side. But I do like that they don't really telegraph it. Right? He's not doing very traditional.
You wouldn't expect it.
Yeah, he's not a traditional good guy.
Like, because
He really is an anti-hero that's kind of got a heart.
Because when they help him, they're
times.
like, it's like, why did you save me? It's like, we know who you are. We don't want to die and this whole town be destroyed. And it's like,
but that's where the moral code, like for Black Adam, kind of stops. It's like he could kill everybody, but he doesn't.
But the thing
let's
is,
give
like,
him some credit. That's like, let's give him some credit.
I
right
think
there.
what they do here is he doesn't throw that first punch, but he will finish it. Like the guys that shoot him, he's going to kill those guys. Like when he has them both up in the air and he's like, how are they tracking me? And then he just roasts the one dude.
Yeah,
He's like, oh, they have a satellite. And he just
crazy.
goes into
Brutal.
space and the dude's like ice cubes. it's awesome.
I think some of the restraint is also the whole thing with ISIS, though. So I think the story has a very awesome plot device with like him having to use her bones and him basically extracting the Faust extracting the magic from her bones for him to use. And I thought that scene with the natives was actually really sad because he didn't. It's not like he didn't even want to turn to show restraint. He didn't want to turn because he's slowly killing his.
Yeah,
he's defeating the whole purpose, and he's slowly killing his love. So
that was a cool.
It's just like really sad.
Yeah, no, that was a cool. That was an interesting plot point. Like the kind of snake eating its own head, right? Like the more that he, falls into these fits of rage and having to like defend himself, he's slowly like losing his chances of reviving his love and accomplishing his mission. I thought put Black Adam in a very interesting position in the story, right? Like because to Ed's point, his power levels are through the roof. He doesn't even face the Justice League, in this series. Had he done so, I think it would have been a much different kind of fight. But all of the opposition in this story, he could easily get rid of. But the challenge for him here is, I can't transform to Black Adam in my usual ways. I'm having to use, I'm having to literally kind of like use milk my dead wife's like bones for power, and it's slowly killing her even permanently. I think that's how you got to do Black Adam, right? Is like you can't have him go toe to toe or fisticuffs because that's only cool for so long. You're like, okay, I get it. This dude's super powerful, and I'm kind of this can't be 6 issues worth of just him punching walls and punching holes in people.
Yeah, even how it starts where he's getting beaten up so people won't recognize him. That was the thing. It's like, bro, grow a beard, dude. Grow that hair out, man. Let's get your ass kicked. I was just like, hit me again.
That is how I think that was to illustrate like just how much he is most wanted right now, right? Like he is the world's most wanted.
That, and I wonder if it's like kind of a guilt thing. It's like, this is how I'm going to, because he talks about how his eternity is going to be. He's like eating his own excrement.
He kind of accepts like,
forever.
I'm going to
so
hell.
it's like, I know what's, and I don't know if that's part of like, this is how I can't get hurt more or less as Black Adam, magic bullets aside.
Yeah.
But this is how I can kind of get some, basically pay for my sins, I guess. Just getting punched in the face over and over again.
It's a good character study. I think
go to the Chameleon or something. Get some like Clayface putty.
It's definitely
the Chameleon universes.
Yeah.
It's definitely a good.
It's happened.
It's definitely a good character study. I'll tell you that much. If you wanted to kind of learn more about what motivates Black Adam, and really just see this conqueror kind of anti-hero, the only thing that could motivate him. I mean, he's really got everything, but love is the thing that kind of motivates him, and that's all he wants in this story. I think that was probably the strongest point of the entire series. Zach, I wanted to hear from you, man. Like, what did you learn about Black Adam from the story? Whether it was like something new or maybe just reinforce some characteristics of the character that you already know.
Yeah, so I always saw Black Adam as a little bit more villainous. I kind of struggled seeing him as an anti-hero, even with recent iterations and stuff.
Yeah.
But this book really, I mean, for it to come out in 2007, 2008, finish up in 2008 and start in 2007, it was cool to see like that characterization of the character even back then as kind of he has a sense of empathy and compassion. He's not an empathetic person. He's not a compassionate person, but he does have a heart and he has a goal.
He's not chaos. He's not like the Joker where it's just chaotic evil. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas before this, I thought he was just a dick. That's what I read.
Still kind of a dick.
Still kind of a dick. Yeah. His empathy and compassion doesn't go down smoothly, I think is where I'm at, right? It's like you're like, oh, you kind of say it through grit teeth, like, all right, I get it. I guess if I was, to me, like, if he's supposed to be the analog of Shazam, where Shazam is like this, boyish exuberance and like, wide-eyed and pure good. Black Adam is like, he's the complete opposite, right? Like he is representative of like just that sense of bloodlust and rage that an unhinged grown man can be pushed to under the extreme and right circumstances. And I think he does that very well, while still not being completely one-dimensional by having like these moments and these reasonings for why he does what he does. I mean, to Ed's point, it really is kind of like fuck around and find out, or you could just leave me alone. It really is like he's a character where it's like, or you could just leave him alone, because he doesn't have a one. His 1 to 10 is literally just 1 to 10. There's not a 5 or 6 in between.
For the listeners, like before this story, as you guys said, it's like World War III, and I think in that story he does like run through like the Teen Titans and a few other groups. He just like freaking runs.
He's got a Christmas. He's got a Christmas list.
Crazy.
He's got a Wikipedia list of every DC team available, and he just like you say, he runs through them.
Yeah, he's that guy.
Yeah, for me, it just kind of reinforced. For me, this series kind of just reinforced what I already kind of viewed Black Adam as, based on other things I've read. He's gritty, he's vengeful, he's not to be crossed, he's brutal. Walking just epitome of rage to me. Ed, did you learn anything new about the character based on this?
I kind of understand him a little more because, like I said, I wasn't terribly familiar with him outside of that original Shazam kind of one and done thing. So it's cool kind of going back and kind of learning the, I guess, more contemporary version of him. Mm-hmm. And like I said, outside of Forever Evil, I haven't really read much with him outside of a couple of Shazam things, but he wasn't really the main guy in a lot of the Shazam stuff I read. But yeah, it was a very interesting, it's like a very well written. I agree with the earlier points. Like, man, you needed to know a lot of backstory here, but I think the character was written really well. Yeah. His interactions, the conversations, so many different things, from just killing everybody to that nice kind of quiet diner conversation that almost escalates to that fight with Hawkman. I think there's a lot of cool scenarios that was put in with this fetch quest. So, it's, and then like being one step ahead of the Justice League, they're just coming in afterwards,
it's like
just even him talking into the satellite, say, hey guys, this is over.
I guess I should add cunning to that, because that was something, maybe something I knew I learned was just how cunning he is and how smart he is.
That's part of the Shazam powers. I know they changed it to the Egyptian thing, but it was like the wisdom of Solomon. But it's they're using Egyptian, analogs with that now. So
yeah, I'd say you get to see a full range of his cunningness and rage, right? Like you get to see the very obvious physical manifestation of his rage, where he's, like Zach said, he's cutting people in half by flying through them. He's holding dudes out in thunderstorms. And what about that one scene where he's got that one Wet Works fake ass assassin in hand as he's flying into space, having a very deep thought, right? Like he's having a thought to himself.
He's just ice cubes.
Meanwhile, he's got like this dude that's fucking suffocating to death. And
I had to like double take the panel when that happened. I was like, what is?
Yeah, because it's like, he brought that guy up there. He just dropped. You can't breathe out here. My bad.
And I think the credit goes to, and that's a good point, Zach. Is that there's a lot of things like you kind of got to catch throughout this book, right? Like that one scene, right, where Black Adam's having a very deep thought, and the panel keeps getting wider and wider, and then you realize, oh shit, he's got some guy in hand.
He's got this guy still.
And it's not very, it's not like. I don't think there's a lot of splash pages in this. So, and that's something I noticed with Doug Mahnke is that he works in very tight spaces. Like his panel work is always, he tries to give you a lot of, he doesn't give you like the full image. Like he works his way into revealing like certain things going on.
Even in that fight with that Bigfoot thing.
Oh
he's
I forgot about that.
Rappelling off the side with his intestines. Like
Bigfoot in this.
Damn.
Yeah, that was crazy.
It's like, geez.
That was crazy. Yeah. Well, let me ask one more question on the topic of this, because and I'll answer first. Did this make you want to go back and maybe check out some of the preliminary stories that build up to this point, like World War III and the 52 stuff? Because I'll say for me, even though I read the Wikipedia, so much shit apparently happens in those two prior stories. I'm kind of interested to see how they unfold. Like a lot of it's not just a very clear cut like, oh, his wife is killed and he goes on a revenge mission. Like a lot of things lead up to that. Are any of you interested in maybe reading and visiting some of those?
I am for sure, and I had to find out if he gets back with ISIS. I had to look that up, and I found the page where I showed you earlier where doesn't end well for Mr. Faust. She comes in and like she basically castrates him, and like they just leave him there. They're like, because basically
it's like husband like wife.
It's implied that I think she's more Black Adam now when she comes back than she was ISIS. So because what's implied and what I've read that he was basically sexually assaulting her because she was basically like kind of a comatose. So he was doing that on top of using her magic, siphoning her magic. So he got.
He's just dudes.
Just dudes for sure. So I was very curious, and I'm probably going to grab this collection.
Oh, wow.
Because
good sign right there.
Mankey art, can't beat it. And it's a really good piece.
Yeah.
Especially with the movie coming out. And that sweet new Alex Ross cover.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
Yeah,
that's sharp.
It looks good. It looks good. Yeah. This definitely, for me, was like, what else is he... For me, I'm interested, what else is he capable of?
Yeah.
And what else has he done at this level? So I want to read more Black Adam. What about you, Zach? Are you going to go back, revisit some new stuff? Or revisit some old stuff?
Yeah, I did a little bit of research on like World War III and the things that we talked about that happened before this. Even like 52, I did some research on. I think this book starts you a little bit empty and leaves you full. So I'm not curious to see like what happens after the story necessarily, because I was left very full.
Okay.
But
you didn't want to see him get back with ISIS? No.
Sure.
Okay. Oh man.
He's like, I'll see it in the...
I like my anti-heroes in pain, you know.
Oh, okay. Man, no love for you, man. I'm glad you're not writing me.
But yeah, no. I mean, I do want to see what happens previous to this. I'd like to see, like Potter said, I'd like to see him to be a little bit more chaotic and reckless when he doesn't have to hold back, when he's not siphoning his wife's life force, life force, you know, whatever. I want to see that. So, yeah.
All right, and last question before we get into our next segment. Any expectations going into the movie based on the trailers that we've seen, any interviews, promos, et cetera, et cetera? How are we feeling about the movie coming out?
Oh, man.
Go ahead, Zach.
I'm excited to see my boy go from Scorpion King to King of Kandahar. That's all I want to see.
The CGI will be a lot better.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
Yeah, I just want to see The Rock. I really just want to see this, honestly, for Dwayne Johnson. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I just want to see him like win in this role because he has earned it. Like his press tours, his passion for the character, his passion for the team.
His just work ethic in general is insane.
Man, I just want to see it for him. Like, I want to see it for Dr. Fate too.
Oh, come on, man. Pierce Bronson.
That's a great cast.
Perfect casting.
It's gonna be sick. All this Hodges, Hawkman. Like, I want to see the other characters too, but I honestly have no expectations. I feel like Warner Brothers, DC has been hit or miss for a lot of people, and I'm one of those people. And I tend to go into their movies. I tend to go into Marvel movies like that now lately, but that's a different topic. But I tend to go into their films with like no expectations, and I most of the time I'm like happily surprised, and I want to be surprised, and I want to see him win in this role. That's all I want to see.
There we go. I like that. Ed, you want to add to that?
Yeah, like I said, I've been a fan of The Rock because I'm a wrestling fan. So I've been a fan of him forever. And he is probably the most charismatic person in the planet. His work, just the fact that how much he's putting into this, like you were saying, just repeating what you're saying, just and for years, even when it was a no-go and it was, everything was delayed and companies, the organization was shifting and new owners, and like I said, he still wants to do this, and he's still steadfast, and he's just I believe it's going to be good. And from early release reviews, it's been kind of unanimously people said it's a pretty good movie, almost. And and who knows, like I said, who knows how much these guys were being paid to say this, but there's the people who are even saying it kind of transcends like superhero movies.
Oh, wow.
Which I'm not gonna expect that. That's a bit weighty, and a bit much. But I think it's gonna be, if it's as fun as Shazam was, to be the opposite coin. Like I said, I'm pretty optimistic about it. It's a new character. It's not another fucking Batman movie. It's a new character. It's going to need that I won't mind to see the origin story for, because like I said, I'm curious what they do. And he's not a household name. Black Adam's not a household name.
Well said.
And like I said, I'm very optimistic about it. I think it's going to be good. I don't think it's going to transcend superhero movies like I've been hearing, but I think it's going to be a solid movie.
This is going to be a blockbuster to me. This ain't going to be one I think I'm going to sit and look for the deeper meanings of things. Yeah. And that is A-okay, right? Like, it's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I want to see him
punching people.
Yeah, I want to see him looking badass, right? And that's to your point. I want to see this movie win because you're right. Like I want to see more movies like this. I want this movie to win so the execs and the powers that be know that, we don't need to just stick to DC's Trinity.
Batman.
Trinity at that. But yeah,
mostly
primarily Batman. Like,
I want more Superman. Yeah. But.
I'm excited to see Pierce Bronson as Dr. Fate. I'm excited to see Hawkman, Cyclone, Atom Smasher. Like the JSA is. That is a very, to me, that if you're a fan of the if you tell me you're a fan of the JSA and you read the comics, I'm like, okay, you probably have pretty good taste in comics. You probably dive into like lesser known stuff.
The history.
Yeah, exactly. Comics, that's not a household comic or team name, especially among even like comic readers. Those fans of JSA like are kind of far few in between, in my opinion. So for them to get the big screen treatment, let's do it. Like I want this to win. I want. And you kind of want to see a W for DC movie fans, right? Like it tends to be like a running joke, and they kind of are the butt of the they're the butt of jokes when it comes to like superhero movies as of lately. And there's always that friction and all the bullshit going on with like the with Warner Brothers and all that. Yeah, I hope this is just like that shining beacon for them. So
are you guys expecting like a lot of world building from this movie? Do you expect it to expand? Because it seems like they're really making this the fresh start. I kind of want to see like where you guys gonna go.
I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind, and I'm almost expecting it, right? Like you don't just get Dwayne Johnson for one movie, right? Yeah. And it sounds like he's already got plans of like showing up in a future Shazam movie
the thing
or
too
a
is
Superman
like,
fight.
You want at least a tie with Shazam, which has ties into
Exactly,
the universe
bigger.
because they reference Superman, and it's like we like they made these Venom movies with no Spider-Man in sight. It's like, how the hell do you have Venom without Spider-Man? And they're making like a Craven. It's like, how do you have all these movies without Spider-Man?
Yeah.
So and I think you have to at least, okay, we'll test it with Shazam. We'll try to get Henry Cavill back, and then we'll have that ultimate showdown. But I don't, and I think they'll keep the characters. I think they'll keep Gal Gadot. Who knows? Flash is definitely off the table. That guy's went out of his damn mind.
They are currently working
Get Grant Gustin
1,000 hours to remove him from the Justice League movie.
Oh, they're going to deep fake. They're just going to put Grant's face on that dude.
Yeah. Zach, real quick. All right. What's the over/under, in your opinion, of Henry Cavill or a Superman cameo? Easter egg, whether it be a cameo, end credit scene. And are you crying if you see that? Are you shedding a tear?
I just watched Man of Steel 2 days ago. I drew I'm not even kidding. I can go get the drawing. I drew Superman and just like a nostalgia filled like
I got to see this drawing.
I drew him, and then I watched Man of Steel the same night. I'm just feeling it, man. On my Instagram, if you watch my story, I was like posting the stills from like Man of Steel. Listen,
is that the art for the show?
No. But Henry Cavill, like, I feel like he never got to fully stretch his wings.
Yeah.
But he was so well cast, and I would be the biggest Warner Brothers DC fan. I would eat it up if they managed to get him back in this movie. I mean, I would totally betray my entire True Believer Marvelite history. If they did. You will see this whole thing will be DC. I promise you, like behind me. So
yeah,
if they manage this, man, that's gonna be it for me. I'm gonna
just the meeting in the clouds, like floating.
I'm
gonna face to face.
Standing.
Yeah,
that'd be dope. That'd be super dope.
Anything, man. But I do think I think based on what Dwayne Johnson's been, how he's been discussing the movie and the universe, I think it's a pretty big chance we're gonna see Soups
at some point.
I think we're gonna see Cavill. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna recast that. That's crazy.
Well said. All right, gents. Well, I think it's safe to come to the conclusion that we are all for recommending Black Adam, The Dark Age, for anyone interested in, brushing up on Black Adam or getting to know the character prior to the movie, with the caveat that there are some things that transpire prior to the story that you might want to maybe just do a quick Wikipedia, read through. I did that and I felt pretty good about it. But just go in with that understanding that, you might get lost to some of the references, but overall you can enjoy it as a pretty good character study of Black Adam if you need to kind of get a good entry into that. But with that being said, let's go and call this War Crime Council meeting adjourned for today. All right, I'm not going to let it go that my man.
They can't trace those magic bullets back to us. We had nothing to do with them.
All right, I'm not going to let go of the fact that he's a fucking war criminal. All right, and a fugitive. All right, and let's move on to our next segment and talk about the best new comic titles coming out next month. Let's go ahead and grab a fistful of comics.
You can either have a mouthful of tea or a fistful of comics.
Fistful of Comics is the part of the show dedicated to all you Wednesday warriors who loyally frequent your local comic shops every week, as well as newbies looking for a little help and direction on what are the best new comics worthy of your hard-earned cash. This segment is brought to you by Gotham City Limit, Jacksonville's premier shop for comics, toys, collectibles, and more. If you don't know by now, every week we say our own magic words to summon Ben Kingsbury, the greatest comic salesman to ever walk this earth and owner of said Gotham City Limit comic shop. We call him in to give us his top 3 recommendations for new comics and the best titles coming out next month. It's been a few episodes since we heard from him, so let's waste no time today. All right, let's go ahead and give him the spotlight. And I'm sorry, if you've heard of him. So let's waste no time giving the spotlight to the man of the hour. Let's get some music going and talk about this list of his. All right. First up on his list, all right, his first pick is a highly highly. I can't stress enough how highly anticipated this book is. It's coming out through DC Comics with some industry heavyweights, to say the very least. I won't ruin the surprise. Here's Ben to tell you all about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, I go by the name Benjamin Dylan Kingsbury, and I bring you the comic book of the year. Batman, Spawn, Todd McFarlane, Greg Capullo. Maybe the only duo who could beat this would be your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man Spawn combo. However, I digress. With over 13 different covers for your viewing pleasure, including a 1 in 1,000 incentive variant signed by Todd McFarlane and Greg Capullo, my recommendation: for dinner, start eating ramen noodles now so you could buy these comics later.
Man, that is so good. And look, you can bet your ass I'm about to be suckered into buying some very unnecessary variant covers that I don't need. To be honest, did he say 13 variant covers?
13.
I feel like I was expecting way more. If I'm being real with you, I was expecting like 50 or something like that. The only 13 variant covers for this Batman and Spawn collabo that people have been waiting on.
DC, they are restructuring things, so cut down on one of the execs said, all right, cut down on these variant covers.
All right. Well, Batman and Spawn #1 hits shops December 14th. And I'll mention one other thing. For as long as I've known Ben, I think I've known Ben now going on maybe 4, maybe 5 years, I did not know his middle name was Dylan. So that you learn something new every day. All right, next up on his list. You didn't think it'd be all DC talk this episode, did you? Not today, Satan. All right, look, Ben's second pick swings us back to the House of Mighty Marvel. Take it away, Ben. Tell us what's on your list.
It's the return of the Ben. That's right. Amazing Spider-Man 14 brings us the return of the world's most famous clone, Ben Reilly. This time as his mentally split chasm personality. If you missed the events of Amazing Spider-Man 93 in the free comic book day Comics Spider-Man, Ben Reilly Chasm and Madame Pryor have a dark web headed for the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, so this new series, I guess, is about some jilted clones, the most famous jilted clones in comics. Ben Reilly and Madeline Pryor teaming up, which I think it's rather interesting.
That's funny. That's pretty funny.
Yeah. So
the Goblin Queen.
Yeah. So
We're
another.
never gonna get through this clone trauma.
You're right. They're not letting that shit go. All right. So you can expect another new suit, another new Spider-Man suit, another big Spider-Man crossover event. Another Goblin villain for Spider-Man to punch in the face. Some things just don't change.
What if that is a tie-in to Green Goblin, the Goblin Queen?
I think they're going to show up or something. But Amazing Spider-Man #14 hit shops November 23rd. And for the last pick, Ben is taking us to a very magical place, all right? It's a place called Fairyland, a place that I absolutely fucking hate. And here's why.
World-famous writer and artist Scotty Young brings his I Hate Fairyland series back through Image Comics with this new #1. Bloody Deadpool meets Alice in Wonderland would probably be the best way for me to describe this comic series. Bloody, graphic, horror, fairy tales, right in time for Halloween. Speaking of Halloween, if you're in or around the Jacksonville area on Saturday, October 29th, stop by the Gotham City Limit Halloween Bash. Those are our picks of the week. I'm Ben K. Remember, with great power comes great responsibility, and always take it to the limit.
There we go. And I like that. I like that comparison. I Hate Fairyland. I don't know if any of you have ever read it. All right, Ed's read it, but I think Ed, do you think he nailed it? Deadpool meets Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, it's basically like how Scotty Young is he doing the art for this? Do you know?
Let me check.
He's been doing a lot of writing lately.
I think he's just doing the writing.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure he got somebody somewhere.
He set the bar rather high when he did when he does.
Yeah, it's a fun, like I said, just person stuck in this like fairy tale, like Alice in Wonderland type of world with like a lot of over the top cartoony violence. But yeah, that's a pretty good comparison. Yeah, for sure.
Good stuff. One thing I don't hate about Fairyland is that I get to remind all of you out there that I got to interview the Eisner Award-winning writer Scotty Young for a panel at Heroes Con this year, which you can hear on episode 361. Shameless would be my magic transforming Shazam word. All right, when I say shameless, I transform. But I Hate Fairyland #1 arrives in shops November 16th. If any of those pique your interest, please do yourself a favor. Go ahead and go to your local comic shop and tell them to order that for you. Zach and Ed, of the 3 recommendations that we got today from Ben, which one are you most interested in? Zach, take it away.
I'm grabbing that Spawn and Batman book immediately, and I'm also going to have a stack of like at least 6 variant covers.
Same. I'm right there with you.
I'm not going to be able to resist. Yeah. So, Greg Capullo art. Oof.
Come on.
Yeah.
Is Todd inking?
Sold.
Is Todd inking this?
Let me check. I doubt it, though. We'll
Yeah,
see.
he's
I
too.
wonder.
All right, Ed, what about you? Which one you grabbing?
It's a toss-up. I think Spawn Batman for sure, because I love Greg Capullo, and that's just a classic. That's like very nostalgic kind of comeback. But depending on who does the art for I Hate Fairyland, I'm kind of interested in seeing where it goes from there, just as like a visual thing. But yes, it's a toss-up between those two.
Yeah.
The clones, Madeline Pryor aside, I don't care about these other clones.
Yeah. I'm an adult male now. Like, Madeline Pryor's skimpy outfit doesn't work on me anymore.
It still kind of works on me. But the other, Ben Riley, not interested.
All right. I mean, I already stated mine. Batman and Spawn #1. I'm looking to see how that goes. And hopefully this leads to more cross publisher work, especially between like, Spawn and other titles maybe. Whether it be Image and more DC stuff or vice versa. I think this is a good look to maybe seeing more stuff like this. So, yeah, Batman Spawn is on my pull list. And once again, listeners, any of these pique your interest, please make sure you go to your local comic shops to order those. A big shout out to Ben from Gotham City Limit Shop for always steering us in the right direction. And remember, even if you don't live in Jax, you can still take it to the limit by shopping their online store, which is linked in this episode's show notes. Next up, we got a very good mailbag segment to get through. And I want to talk about Werewolf by Night. All 3 of us have watched it. We agreed we're going to do a 3-way joint champion. But first, I want to take a quick music break to stretch our legs, refill our drinks. And I'm extremely excited about this music break today because it will be the debut of the newest member of our Shortbox team. Hailing all the way from Brazil is an incredible producer that has obviously been studying the music of hip-hop royalty like Ninth Wonder, Old Kanye, and Static Selecta. He goes by the name of Lerm, Lerm, and his beats are incredible. All right, I was finally introduced to him by my little brother David, who does most of the music on this show, as most of you know by now. And Lerm was very excited to provide me a giant folder of instrumentals to use. It was like 3 gigabytes of just music. So here's one called For Troubled Boys, which I find highly appropriate considering what we've talked about so far with Black Adam. So we'll play the song. And if you're tuning in on YouTube and on the video podcast, go ahead and head over to your favorite podcast app to check out the rest of the show. If you're tuning in on your favorite podcast app, don't go nowhere, all right? Enjoy the music, and we'll be right back.